Have you ever noticed those people who are always, and I mean asterisk, always asterisk early? They're not just on time, they're sitting in the parking lot 15 minutes before a meeting or waiting outside a restaurant before it even opens. Maybe that's you. To most people, this seems like a virtue. Punctuality, responsibility, good time management. But if you look closer, you'll see something in their eyes while they wait. It's not peace. It's vigilance. Because the person who always arrives early isn't just being polite. They're protecting themselves from something far more terrifying than being late. So what are they really running from? Let's start with what you see on the surface. You arrive 20 minutes early to everything. Coffee with a friend, a job interview, a doctor's appointment. Even casual hangouts that explicitly said, no rush, you're there, parked, waiting, watching the clock tick down, and people notice. They call you reliable, punctual, organized. They say, I wish I could be more like you. You smile and accept the compliment. But inside, there's no pride. There's just the quiet relief of knowing you didn't mess up, you didn't disappoint anyone. Because for you, being early isn't a choice, it's a compulsion. It's not that you love being early, it's that you're terrified of being late. Psychologically, chronic early arrival is rarely about time management. It's about control in a world that feels unpredictable. Research shows that people with high levels of anticipatory anxiety often develop rigid behaviors to manage their fear of the unknown. Being early becomes a way to create certainty. When you're early, you get to scan the environment, prepare, and observe before being observed. You see who else is there, map out the exits, rehearse what you might say. You eliminate variables. Because somewhere deep down, you learn that being caught off guard is dangerous. Maybe you grew up in a home where moods shifted without warning, where you had to read the room the moment you walked in to assess whether it was safe. Children in unpredictable environments often develop hypervigilance, a state of elevated alertness, constantly scanning for threats. As a child, being late might have meant anger, punishment, or disappointment that felt like rejection. So you learned, arrive early, be ready, eliminate the risk. But here's the thing, you're not a child anymore. Yet your nervous system hasn't gotten the memo. When you arrive early, you're not just managing time. You're managing shame. Shame researcher Brené Brown calls shame the intensely painful feeling that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. For people who always arrive early, lateness doesn't just mean being a few minutes behind. It means being fundamentally flawed, unreliable, disappointing, unworthy. You learned somehow that your worth is conditional and love requires perfect performance. Being early is one of the few things you can control to prove over and over again that you're good enough. The irony is that by always arriving early, you're living in perpetual tension. You're not enjoying the extra time, you're enduring it. You're sitting in your car, checking the clock, your heart rate elevated, playing out scenarios of what could go wrong. The meeting might start early. The other person might already be there, wondering where you are. Even though you are early, you can't relax because early isn't the goal, safety is. And safety for you is never guaranteed. Here's what's happening in your brain. Chronic anxiety can actually rewire neural pathways. Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive, constantly scanning for threats. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, which handles rational thought, gets suppressed. So even when you know logically that arriving 10 minutes before a casual coffee date is unnecessary, your emotional brain overrides that logic. For you, on time feels like almost late, and almost late feels like danger. This is called catastrophic thinking, where your brain jumps to the worst possible outcome. If I'm late, people will judge me. If people judge me, they'll reject me. If they reject me, I'll be alone. A 5-minute delay becomes an existential threat. And maybe that's the real tragedy here. Because here is what people do and see when they compliment your punctuality. They do and see you leaving your house in a panic, triple-checking everything. They don't see you sitting alone in parking lots, scrolling through your phone to kill time, feeling like you can't go in yet because being too early might be weird. They don't see the constant mental calculations about traffic, parking, and 1,000 other what-ifs. They don't see that for you, every social interaction begins with anxiety. The price of your reliability is constant, low-grade stress. You're not thriving, you're just preventing catastrophe. And the exhausting part? It works. You're never late. But you're also never at ease. Let's go deeper. Attachment theory suggests our early relationships shape how we navigate the world as adults. If you grew up with inconsistent caregivers, you might have developed an anxious attachment style. People with anxious attachment live in fear of abandonment and are hypersensitive to signs of rejection. They overfunction in relationships, constantly trying to prove their worth. And arriving early? That's overfunctioning. You redoing more than what is required because you terrified that the bare minimum won't be enough. But the people who truly care about you, they don't need you to be early. They'd still want to see you if you arrived 5 minutes late, frazzled and apologetic. Because real connection isn't built on flawless execution. It's built on authenticity. And this is where it gets painful. The person who always arrives early is living with a paradox. You're desperate for connection, but you can't allow yourself to be truly seen. When you arrive early, you're in control, prepared, ready. But if you arrived late, you'd be vulnerable, flustered, imperfect, human. And somewhere along the way, you learned that being human isn't safe. You built a wall made of punctuality and preparation. That wall protected you, but it also isolated you. You're not letting anyone see the messy, beautifully imperfect human underneath. Over time, you start to notice your relationships feel hollow. People appreciate you, but they don't really know you. There's a distance, a formality, even with people you've known for years. You wonder, why can I never just relax? It's because you're always in evaluation mode. Every interaction is a test you might fail. Psychologists call this conditional self-worth. Your sense of value isn't internal, it's based on external validation. And the problem with external validation is that it's never enough. You can arrive early 1,000 times, but that one time you're late will erase all of it in your mind. Because you're not trying to be on time. You're trying to be perfect. But this is important. None of this is your fault. You didn't choose to be this way. This is a survival strategy. It's what you learned to do to feel safe. And it worked. It got you through. But now it might be a prison. The same behavior that once kept you safe is now keeping you small. It's preventing you from being spontaneous, from trusting that you'll be okay even if things don't go perfectly. It's keeping you from being free. So what do? Healing isn't about becoming someone who's chronically late. It's about finding the middle ground, being intentional instead of compulsive. Start small. Try arriving just 10 minutes early instead of 20. Notice the anxiety that rises. Don't suppress it, just observe it. Name it. This is my nervous system telling me I'm in danger, but I'm not. I'm just trying something new. Practice self-compassion. When you feel that panic, speak to yourself like a friend. It's okay, you have plenty of time. A few minutes late won't be the end of the world. And here's the radical part. Allow yourself to be late occasionally, on purpose, to something low stakes. Notice the world doesn't end. Notice people are usually understanding. You are not your coping mechanisms. You are not your anxiety. Underneath all the hypervigilance and planning, there's a person who just wants to be accepted. A person who's been working so hard to be good enough. And you already are. You were always good enough. The early arrival doesn't make you more worthy or lovable. Your value is inherent. It's not earned. And the people meant to be in your life? They'll stay even if you're 10 minutes late. They'll love you even if you're imperfect. So what would it feel like to arrive exactly on time? Not early, just on time. To trust that you're enough, even without the buffer? It's terrifying, I know. Your whole nervous system will resist. But you've been running for so long, managing everyone else's comfort at the expense of your own peace. Maybe it's time to stop running. Maybe it's time to believe that your presence is the gift, not your punctuality. Because the psychology of arriving early isn't about time at all. It's about a heart that's been trying so hard to feel safe, and you deserve to finally feel safe. Not because you've earned it, but because you're here, because you exist, because you matter. Even if you arrive a little late.